everyone, I'm your host Neha and you're tuned into Durian Dreaming, the show that brings you extraordinary stories from seemingly ordinary experiences in Indonesia's fast-paced market. Let's dive into today's conversation with another inspiring guest. Hi everyone, welcome to the new episode of Durian Dreaming. Today we've joined by someone who spent her career building some of the iconic brands in Asia Pacific. She's currently the country head of Kohler, Indonesia, Malaysia and Singapore, a company that's redefining how we think about design, about innovation and modern living. So we will talk about her leadership, her journey, how she's managing the three countries, and what it takes to grow a global brand in a market like Indonesia, where there's stiff competition. So let's welcome Shreya to our podcast, Durian Dreaming. Hi, Shreya. Welcome to the podcast. We are very excited to have you with us.
Hi, Neha. It's absolutely lovely to be here. Thank you so much for taking out this time and setting this up. I think you're doing an amazing job with Durian Dreaming, and it's a great way for anybody who wants to understand more about the market here to really, log in, listen to your podcast. It's a perfect starting ground.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to hear and it's very flattering. So Shreya, most of us know Kohler, and when we say Kohler, the first few words that pop in our mind are bathrooms and kitchen. But the company is really in the business of design, lifestyle, and wellness as well. So how would you describe what the company really stands for?
So simply two words, that's called gracious living. Gracious living is our mission statement, which was coined by Mr. Kohler, who's actually the third generation who was managing the business. Now, in fact, the fourth generation is leading the business. We are still a family-run company. And when Mr. Kohler actually coined this term gracious living, his entire intent was that anybody who comes in touch with our products or even our services, and they think about that at a later date, it should still bring a smile to their face. And that being the core of everything that we do. So it's not just about design, it's about how consumers interact with our products. But this simple line allows us to go beyond kitchen and bath. So today, Kohler also has a very successful hospitality business. So we own and run luxury hotels in the US and in Scotland. We have golf courses where some of the championship golf events have been played, like the Ryder's Cup or even PGA Tours. Believe it or not, we have our own chocolate brand and even chocolate brandy. And like you rightly said, it also takes us into wellness because everything is about gracious living. It's about giving our consumers outstanding products that make their lives easier and better every time they interact with us.
So the company is really in the business of design, lifestyle, and hotels.
Absolutely.
Okay. But tell me something, consumers today have choices at every price point. And Indonesia is one of the largest countries in the world. And Kohler is a premium brand in the offerings, in the space that it is in. What really makes a brand premium?
Thank you for that question. And I think, and you're right, in a world today where there's so much competition, what truly gets a brand to stand apart, I would say, is quality and the attention to detail. It's really about thinking about the small things that make the experience for our consumers, our associates, our partners much better. And I'll give you like a tiny, tiny example of that. And it's a really small example. But imagine you're in your shower and you have a round knob and your hands are soapy and you're trying to turn it. How many times have you actually experienced it where your hand is slipping? And you would have most probably experienced that in a hotel. And when we design a product like that, we'll think about those small details and add some kind of tactile surface so that your soapy hands will not slip in, while you're taking a shower.
Yeah.
And while that's like a really basic product inside, that's the kind of thinking that we have in everything that we do. We are constantly thinking about how consumers will interact with our products, how they'll experience it, how people in different parts of the world will experience it. So we actually have different heights of toilets that are sold in the West versus in Asia, keeping in mind how consumers will actually feel comfortable when they're using that product. And genuinely taking pride in what we do. Part of our motto where we say it's a singular level of quality. So we have more than 50 manufacturing facilities all over the world, and each facility uses the same guardrails in terms of how we manufacture our products. So whether the same product comes out of a factory in India or China or Indonesia or the US, the product quality will always be the same. And I think that's what really helps us stand apart. Looking at the details, thinking about how consumers actually interact with our products, how will they experience it. So we want products that work really well and they're also beautiful versus saying we are making beautiful products that work well.
So, Shreya, what's the biggest mistake foreign companies make in Indonesia?
Assuming what works everywhere else will also work here. I mean, if you come to the market with preconceived notions about how consumers behave, how they will purchase, it's not going to work. Simply put, Indonesia is a market where transportation or logistics is not easy. It's a country that's connected through waterways. It's not a country that's connected through land. So just that difference, if you do not understand before coming in, you will always struggle. We also believe that it's about talking to the consumers here, and therefore the content, everything that we do is a lot of it what we manufacture, produce here. And I'm talking about content and marketing content here. I would say about 80% of that is local. Only 20% is what we pick from the global bucket. So that's the advice to any brand, that if you're coming into the country, please understand about your audience here, how to communicate to them, what matters to them. People, while love and care about family and their work, they also really care about the friendships that they have outside of work. So many people have the third place that they go to before they go home. So, and those nuances you'll only understand when you come into the market and talk to the people here.
Right. Now you've been in this segment for long, in premium brands, in luxury brands. And when you look at the marketing of luxury brands, they don't just sell products. They're selling an experience. They're selling an emotion. They're selling an aspiration. So my question is, why doesn't traditional marketing work for luxury brands?
It's important to understand who are the consumers and who are the influencers, especially when it comes to luxury and premium brands. When we look at consumer goods and fast-moving consumer goods, you're always talking directly to the consumer. But the moment you get into luxury, or even if it's homes, there are so many influencers involved, and you need to understand that. For example, if you were designing your own home today, chances are you would have an interior designer on board with you. And so it's not just about talking to the consumer, it's also about talking to the influencer. So while the tenets are the same, understanding who your consumers are is extremely important. And then the way to reach out to consumers is really about inspiration. It's about design. It's about talking about what homes can be versus just selling products. And I think that's one big difference. It's not about saying my product has 10 features. It's about saying how that product is going to be in your home and how will you experience it in your home.
Right. Actually, I was coming to the point that in your industry, the homeowner often isn't the only person making decisions, the buying decision, right? They are other stakeholders like your architects, your interior designers, like you said, or your developers. They play a critical role. So how different is marketing when your biggest influencers aren't necessarily your end consumers?
Well, if you ask me, that makes it easier because that's a finite audience and you know exactly who they are. Versus in other categories where you have never met your consumer and you are reaching out in this, abyss in a way, like you're trying to find people you don't know. So if you ask me, it allows you to have a direct one-on-one connection, actually be in control of the conversation where you can truly share with the right people what the brand, the company, the products are all about, and have them truly experience the products in the way they were intended.
Right. So can relationships beat advertising?
I don't think it's either or. This is one of the cases where an and is important. I think advertising the right way is important to genuinely drive awareness and also create some kind of pull for the brand where consumers know who you are. So when an influencer talks about you or any brand or any premium brand, if an influencer talks about that, the consumer is not blank and they're like, I don't know what you're talking about. So that's the role of advertising, and it's important that it stays. And the relationships are important because those are long term, and that's what's going to that will keep the business, I would say, sustainable. So yeah, it's not an or, it's an and.
All right. You know, and this is irrespective of the market, but holds more true for Indonesia because of this digital penetration. So almost every buying journey today begins online with the likes like TikTok, your influencer segment, your Shopee, your e-commerce, your marketplaces. So it's like social commerce, right? How important is e-commerce or digital marketing in a category where your consumers still want to see or touch or experience products?
It's the beginning of the journey. It's really where consumers are basically saying that, okay, I'm in the market to renovate my home or purchase a new home. What's out there? Because remember that unlike other categories, this is a category where the consumer is shopping maybe once in 6 years, once in 10 years. That's how often you will end up renovating your home or changing products, right? We do build products that last. So, so then the journey always starts with what's new out there, and that starts online. But it always will end up into the showrooms because consumers, once they discover the brand and products, they really want to touch and feel and understand what it's all about. And to cater that, like for example, we have set up an experience center. We call it the Kohler Experience Center. We have a few all over the world. These are owned and operated by the company. We have one in Jakarta. Actually, a consumer can come and use the products. They can use the different, even shower if they want to, and bathtubs. They can actually see what the products feel like. They can test it out if they want to. And we don't sell from there. We only have that place as a proper experience center. You come and you see what the products and the brand is all about.
No, I'm
And that
excited to
works.
experience the experience center.
Oh, you must come then. So you must come.
Sure. So then tell me, what trends do you think will define the home and the bathroom over the next decade?
I think the journey that is being made right now is moving from hygiene to wellness. So if you remember 20 years ago, it was all about how do you keep your bathroom clean? And then it became how do you keep your bathroom clean and dry? That's how the shower doors came, and you separated the wet from the dry. I don't know if you remember when we were kids, there was no concept of wet and dry. First, the shower curtain came, then the
Yeah.
shower doors came. And I think now the next step is really about wellness, because if you truly think about it, your bathroom is the only place in your home where you truly have solitude. Every other space in your home is being shared with someone else, right?
Yeah.
So the bathroom is the only place where you truly have me time and solitude, and therefore it's really going to take that journey into greater wellness. And think about it, everything from skincare, like today we have a product which actually in India, which is it's called the Steam Lab, Sweda. So you can actually stand on your wash basin and it'll give you steam, which is great if you want to take care of yourself and pamper yourself and do like a little facial at home. So it's really about helping you relax at home, because we all lead such hectic, overwhelming lives that this becomes that place where you can just truly forget about the day, give yourself that little bit of pampering that you need, and be ready for a brand new day.
So, this is like really luxury, like getting your steam done while you're washing your face is something very few can even afford. And Indonesia is a very unique and a very diverse market. There are different stratas of income in the same market. So my question is Indonesia becoming a luxury market?
So Indonesia is a growing economy. In fact, if you see, it's one of the countries that any company will look at for future growth opportunities. And it has shown all of us that the last many years in Indonesia the economy has been growing at 5% year on year, which is absolutely phenomenal. And similarly, we are seeing more and more luxury brands coming into the country and letting people actually experience them right here. if I were to say about our own products, we find that this is one of the best markets for our higher end products like our intelligent toilets, and it's growing rapidly every year. So if you ask me, consumers definitely want great experiences and they are willing to actually invest behind those. And that's only going to keep growing as the middle class keeps growing and overall affordability gets better and better and better.
Right. And what advice would you give ambitious women who want to become country heads?
We need to have more confidence. Mostly women are holding ourselves back because we think, am I good enough and can I do it or not? And it's less about not the opportunities. I think we are all getting opportunities now, but a lot of times we are holding ourselves back or we are not going and having the conversation saying, this is what I want.
All right. Thank you, Shreya. Brilliant piece of advice. And thanks for encouraging all the women folks out there who are always filled with doubt and they reject certain certain roles because they feel they may not be able to give their 100%. So I like that part, that if you are filled with self-doubt, have the conversation. Right. And does gender discrimination still exist in corporate life?
I would want to say no, honestly. We try very hard that we create a workplace that's extremely inclusive, not just for gender, for all, for people from all walks of life. And it's really about ensuring that we have systems in place where people can speak up and speak up without fear, speak up with courage. And I think that's what constantly will make the workplace even better for everybody. That doesn't mean things will be perfect from day one, but as long as people speak up and you take action basis feedback, you'll make an absolutely incredible place to work.
Right. Okay, sure. Let's address a topic which is part of every conversation I've had. So, how do you see AI changing marketing in your category over the next few years?
In my opinion, AI is not going to replace marketers, but it's going to become a really great tool to only enhance the work that we are doing. I mean, it's like when digital marketing came, everybody thought that that's going to replace what a lot of traditional brand managers were doing, but it's really about upskilling and making sure that we are staying with the times. So let me break it up and say what AI will do for marketing. And I think first and foremost, it's really AI is helping consumers research faster. So today, instead of going online and looking for different brands and going to their websites, you can go to any AI chatbot and ask for advice and say, I'm looking for this kind of product today, or I want to buy a car today. This is my price range. This is what I need. Tell me the best car I can buy. So that means that how we look at content, and here I'm not talking about Instagram Reels, I'm truly talking about content that the AI engines read and give advice, that becomes extremely crucial for marketers to be on top of and get right. Because that's how consumers are going to very soon start discovering everything that you do, your new products, about your brand more and more. And it doesn't matter which category. It could be an opening price point category and it could be a luxury product. That's how consumers will start their journey. And when it comes to leadership, I actually think AI can be an absolute friend and support. We recently learned this, and this is a really nice book that we read about, which is really talking about AI for managers. It's from this book. And it is called CRIT, which is about context, role, interview, and task. So where you can actually use AI and put up any business problem that you have, give AI a role to play. Like it could be a HR issue, so you could ask AI to be an HR consultant, or it could be a sales or a marketing problem, and you can actually ask AI to play that role and ask AI to ask you questions, interview you to get more information and understanding, and then give it a task. And you'll be amazed at how much of a thinking partner AI can be for leaders. And sometimes you need to take your ideas and put it through the ringer. And it can even sort of come back and, you can put up a strategy presentation and say that, why don't you stress test this? Does this strategy presentation make sense? Did we forget about something? And I think so in these ways, AI can be such a great thinking partner for leaders. And I would suggest more and more people try it out.
I liked how you said that it's a partner to go along, your partner in crime. It's not going to
Absolutely.
replace anyone. It's just going to enhance the efficiency more.
Exactly.
Right. One last question, Shreya, before we bring this to a finish. So, if our listeners remember just one idea from this conversation, what would you want it to be?
Take risks. Don't say no to opportunities.
All right. Thank you so much for being so honest, telling us about the industry which we don't know much about. We like to experience it. We know it's premium. It's expensive, but then a lot goes
It's
behind it. Like
worth
this.
it. Let me just say it's worth it.
And that's a wrap for this episode of Durian Dreaming. I hope today's discussion sparked some new ideas for you. Don't forget to subscribe, share your thoughts, and stay tuned for more exciting stories. Until next time, keep dreaming big.